Thank you, Scott. Welcome, everyone. I'm Chad Blackwell, Area Vice President of Commvault's America Partner Organization. George, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chad. George Axberg. I'm the Global Vice President of the Data Protection Division here at VAST Data.
All right, so George, let's kind of get into this. I think this is well known, but data's everywhere, right? It's past the edge. It's in the data center. It's in the cloud. It's inside the firewall, outside the firewall. It's just growing like crazy, and it's becoming more complex to protect enterprise customers' data. And it's really becoming extremely more difficult for organizations to really, you know, keep pace at the change, the rate the data is changing. And ransomware is nothing new, George. We talk about it all the time, but what's changing with ransomware is it's becoming more sophisticated. So it's very important for data protection companies to be able to keep up with how ransomware is evolving. So you got to have the most secure and most secure data platform that you to protect customers' data on the planet.
Exactly right, Chad. And what's interesting, I've been doing this as you for about 20 plus years now in the data protection world, and recovering quickly is more important than ever. I could just remember, maybe 6 years ago, 8 years ago, always in the past, recovery was all about restoring an error. Someone lost something, something got corrupted, something was misplaced, fat fingered thumb, something was deleted. It was always about something. Something needed to be recovered. And then over time, in today's world, and it could be something simply around a weather event, it could be a power event, or let's be honest, if it's really going to be about cyber events and the need for cyber resiliency, you may need to recover everything, not just something. And in that world, we're talking about also just the organic growth of data over the last half a dozen years or so. 500 gig databases are now 50 terabytes on their own. So that ability to have that instant recovery and that instant access is paramount today, more so than ever before. And you see this note here from Forrester. A harsh reality is that the majority of organizations are not even testing their ability to recover from a single system, let alone recovering from the entire environment. And I think that's what brings both Commvault and VAST here today.
Great points.
So, just as kind of like an introduction for those that maybe are not that familiar with the companies of VAST Data and Commvault, just to give you a little idea, I'm going to start on the second row on the right here. Gartner is considered number one for analytics. First year in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, we're already a challenger, one of the highest levels of any newcomer to the Magic Quadrant it's ever been. Out of all technology companies, right, we're 16 out of 500 as per Forbes, one of the number three fastest growing companies, 10 most innovative. By the way, that's just not in the IT industry, that's all industries around the globe, and really an emerging vendor. But I think what really we're proud of the most, and something that I think all of our viewers would be interested in, if you go to the top level there, for the first time ever, in a Gartner Peer Insights review, for the first time ever, 100% of respondents, VAST customers that responded to that review, said that they would recommend VAST, they'd buy VAST again, and they'd also, again, recommend it also to a peer. That's the first time that's ever happened. We're very proud of that here at VAST Data.
Yeah, that's great, George. And it's no reason that we're partnered with Vast Data here at Commvault. And one of the strengths here at Commvault, George, and I don't want to speak for on behalf of Vast, but I think the reason that Vast has chose Commvault as such a great partner is, we've been in industry for a really long time. We are an enterprise grade data protection platform. 26 years doing this in the industry. We're recognized by Gartner over and over again, 11 consecutive years. We'll talk a little bit more about some of those accolades later in the presentation. When you think about the amount of data, as you mentioned, it's not about something anymore. It's about being able to recover an entire data center or an entire platform. We're managing over 2.5 exabytes of data right now under Commvault data protection, and we are trusted by greater than 100,000 customers. The majority of those customers are high-end enterprise customers, customers in the top fortune, if you will. So, just this partnership and the introduction of these two companies, and you're going to hear a lot more from both of us. So we talked a little bit, George, about Gartner, right? And anytime we present in front of a customer, George, or in front of a partner, we're wearing the logo. We're immediately biased by our opinions and what we're going to say in those meetings. But you know what makes it real is when the industry speaks for you. And when you take a look at this slide here, when you think about the data protection category, data center, cloud, edge environment use cases, 3 consecutive years, Commvault has been ranked number one in each of those categories. And that's the reason enterprises are trusting Commvault to secure and protect their data every day.
That's fantastic, Chad. That's pretty impressive. We really together want customers to rethink data protection. And we want them to rethink it from a standpoint of, if you think about traditional data protection today, there's still tape, there's purpose built backup appliances. Some people are using hybrid spinning disk solutions. There's the cloud, and there's also all flash systems. The problem with those systems are they all come with a compromise. Let's face it, it's pretty much price versus performance, scalability issues, reliability issues, as well as, again, that TCO wrapper that makes for a data protection solution that could last for many years. So we want customers to rethink recovery. Commvault combined with VAST Data is the fastest recovery mechanism available on the planet today. We want you to rethink scalability. We don't sell model numbers that have a fixated amount of capacity, amount of performance per controller. We have infinite scale. We want you to rethink the total cost of ownership. Sure, there's other flash systems in the marketplace today, but they come with a price tag that makes it not conducive to use for traditional 30, 60, 90-day backup, or maybe even longer term backup and archive, right? Whether that's a 2-year, 7-year, lifetime of the patient type retention period or policy in regulated markets today. And resiliency. I always marvel at the fact that there's customers that sometimes in their backup and recovery environment are not thinking of this as the storage of last resort. This needs to be the most resilient solution in the data center today. And that's why a solution like VAST Data offers 7, 8, 9 nines of resiliency in a platform. And then we also want you to rethink security. Fantastic security software available through Commvault. And then when you compound that with the abilities that we have within the VAST data system itself, we're talking about a real secure environment. And if I wanted to double click on that just a little bit as a data point, if you think about 50 times faster, if I think about, like, for example, the fastest purpose built backup appliance on the planet and how large that scales and how much performance that provides, if I told you I was 50 times faster with Commvault, think about that. Do you want to recover that database in 1 hour or 50 hours? 1 day or 50 days? 1 week or a year? Will you still be in business then? So it's a very much a practical reason why you have to rethink what we're able to offer from a recovery standpoint. When I talk about 100 times more scalable, what if you had one large system, multi-protocol, multi-use case, being able to be used for backup, recovery, on-premise cloud, and it could be at exabyte scale in a single deduplication pool. Think about the savings that gives, but also the ease of use, the simplicity to maintain an environment such as that. And then when something gets to be that big and so scalable, you think about size and space and power and cooling. We'll always win that war. We'll always win that battle, right? Obviously, the way that our systems are designed, the platforms that we're using, we give and offer customers always a savings when it comes to space, power, cooling, and network. So again, we want you to rethink those backup and recovery economics, far different than what you're used to today.
Yeah, George, that's great. Those economics are amazing. And you touched on the security piece. I mean, when you think about Commvault, right? And being the only data protection platform on the planet, as you like to say, we're the only ones that can proactively help customers mitigate ransomware attacks, right? In our ThreatWise product. That's been a game changer for us. It's one of our fastest growing products right now, where we are proactively setting honeypot traps. We're alerting customers. I mean, you talked about, the speed to recovery. Imagine by having Commvault, if you can quickly identify that you've been hacked by ransomware instead of 90 days later, what if we can alert you on day one or day five? How much money, how much data is that going to save you as an organization? And then being able to recover at speed with vast data, I mean, you just can't beat it. And we believe at Commvault, and we know that we have always had the best security posture in the industry, and we're really bringing that story to life. When you think about what's changed in the industry with ransomware, how CISOs are now owning the budget, and there's no data protection purchases until the CISO says so. And when you bring our security posture in front of enterprises, it just can't be beat. I mean, you talk about automated recoveries all the way down to a file level of a last known good copy if you are hit by an attack, and being able to recover from that last known good copy all the way down to a file level, and being able to automate that and make it that much quicker for a customer. And the integration across all of the platforms, all the way from on-prem through the edge and the cloud, Commvault security posture is second to none. And George, we've been talking about this partnership, right? We announced it on June 21st. You and I being part of the initial meetings of what we call internally Project Pathfinder, right? And it's not just a two companies coming together saying, "Hey, let's go sell together in the field," right? It's more than that. We put our money where our mouth was, George. We got in the labs together. We created real technical integrations. When you think about it, you'll hear from a joint customer later today, Expedient, and how that's helped them, how simple it was for them to deploy out of the box because of the work we did in the labs together. It's just an amazing validated partnership with great futures, a great roadmap. And I love that we're doing this from a technical integration, making it so much easier for our customers to consume our two technologies together.
I think that's so well put. And I think really the important part for our audience is, listen, a lot of companies have a go-to-market strategy, right? They can come together and they can put together some architecture and discuss what we could do better together. But I think the best part of this is the way that we've put VAST clusters in the Commvault lab. We have Commvault software in the VAST lab, and we're actually working and designing on that roadmap to continue to have a robust solution to meet our customers and clients' needs. So it's not just a solution for today, but it's also a solution for tomorrow. And it just, I think, has a lot to do with what our two companies are doing together, and reminds all of our customers that, hey, listen, yeah, you need to get together with your channel partners and connect with your Commvault and VAST people to talk about these better together designs.
Absolutely. And some of those benefits that we talk about, George, with Commvault, customers, enterprise customers, they choose us every day because our broadest workload that we support in terms of protecting the data. Anything from a legacy system, could be an AS400, all the way through to Kubernetes in the cloud, right? We can protect all of the data. There's nothing an enterprise will bring to us that we say, sorry, we can't protect that data. That's why enterprises choose us, and we do it in a very simple manner. We recover faster than our competitors, especially partner with vast data. I mean, you talked about it earlier, those economics and how quickly you can recover. And we talked about the security posture. At the end of the day, what do backup admins want? What do CISOs want? They want to be able to go home every day and feel good about they're not going to get hacked. And if something does occur, they need the comfort, as you said, the last line of defense. They need to be able to recover that data, even if they get hit with ransomware. And that's what Commvault and Vast Data together do.
Without a doubt. And we do it together without any compromises, right? You talk about recover faster. We're talking about not just instant recovery or instant access. We're talking about instant operations. The ability to, after an event, the ability to almost run operations in an instant format, because now you have a platform that is so highly performant in that environment. And again, without compromise, we're doing it at an archive-like price point, a cloud-like price point. We're doing things again like reducing footprint. I think you're going to hear from our partner Expedient talk about that a little bit, where we're taking the mindset of legacy platforms. Remember, we're not a purpose-built backup appliance, right? We're not a hybrid array system. We're not an all-flash system at an exorbitant price point, right? We're a new solution with new next generation algorithms and design and architecture that gives us the ability to be extremely dense, extremely high performant, and really, again, without any sort of compromise for your environment. And then what's really interesting when you have a large environment, and you don't typically think about these things from a data protection perspective, is when I have an exabyte scale environment, now I could potentially use backup and archive data, work for you, run analytics against that data, and actually use legacy data that you could not really access before to use it for other things in the future. More to come there.
Great point, George.
Oh, I kind of dropped it on the last note, and Chad mentioned it earlier. We're going to have Expedient join us in a session right after this. And you're going to hear from Anthony from Expedient, but Brian Smith, their chief executive officer, who's obviously a partner and a friend to both Commvault and VAST Data. With VAST and Commvault, Expedient is partnering with the best software companies in the industry. Again, we are both highly performant software companies to deliver the most innovative IT solutions in the marketplace. A company the size of Expedient, one of the largest cloud service providers on the planet with many locations, they have choice, they have opportunities and options to use other things, and they do, and they have, right? But the partnership that we have with them today is really exceptional, and we're going to hear from Anthony from Expedient just after this session. So please, if you can, stay with us. That'd be great. And lastly, in closing, I'm sure we have some questions to follow. Uh, Not just to stick around for Expedient, but also wanted to make sure that you understand that as part of this partnership, we are going through the efforts with the work that we're doing in the lab to put together those best practices and the simple settings and architecture and design that would be required and necessary for a Commvault and VAST solution. You do not have to go it alone. So if you visit us on the web, you'll see some content and materials that speak to the better together strategy of VAST and Commvault, but also, get down into the details of implementation and the value and the benefits that this robust solution can provide. Scott, I think we might have some questions.
Yeah, we've got some questions coming in here. Let's see. First one, they're wondering, how does this joint solution better protect my backup data from ransomware?
Hey, George, I'll take a stab at that one. So, when you think about Commvault, um, when we protect the data, we do it in a way where the snapshots are immutable. And really what that means is they can't be changed, right? So customers can feel very secure that the protection layers within Commvault and the way they protect the data and write it to the vast data systems are in an immutable fashion. And George, if you will, I know there's an additional layer of security should the customer want it when the data hits, the snapshot hits the vast
That's
cluster.
correct. We refer to those as indestructible snapshots. And again, it's an option and an ability, a capability, if you will, above and beyond what you get already from a robust security solution like Commvault.
And in addition, I think I teased on it a little bit earlier, a ThreatWise product where no other data protection company offers this, where we can proactively hunt and scan and trap the bad guys and send off alerts if a customer's been infiltrated with a malware attack. So on the security layer, we can really limit and reduce the time to knowledge that customers have of getting hacked. So malware, if I mean, it'll sit within an environment for as long as it can before it starts to actually do what ransomware does and lock everything out and steal the keys and all that. So if we can limit that from 90 days down to 30 days or 15 days or 10 days, proactively, that is a huge
And if you
ROI
don't mind,
benefit for a customer.
I can't help myself. I want to just pile on the back end of that. Think about what Chad just said. The complexity of how to manage after the cyber attack, right? I mean, all the work that needs to be done. I mean, you might not be able to get in the building, let alone get to your emails. Your phones might not work. But when Commvault identifies a time and the ability to restore clean data, if you will, that's where VAST also then comes in. Because again, if I'm moving data so much faster than anything on the planet, you've already had maybe a week or 2 weeks to get to that point when you can start doing that recovery, that instant access, may I say, rocket recovery with VAST data. That's when you want something that's moving fast as the speed of light. And that's where that combination of Commvault and VAST come together to shorten that time for recovery.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in there. You guys have mentioned the speed several times. What is it that accounts for, why your solution is so much faster? What is sort of the core technology elements there?
Well, from, if I may, Chad, from a VAST standpoint, it's the architecture. I mean, it's a different architecture than anything that's available in the marketplace today, Scott. Um, we're not a purpose-built backup appliance. Purpose-built backup appliances, well, VTLs came to market decades ago. Purpose-built backup appliances with data reduction, they came to market at the end of the 1990s, the early 2000s. Let that sit there for a minute. These technologies are over 20 years old and what are typically being used still in the marketplace today. So we're not necessarily like an integrated appliance, and we're doing it in one system, what people typically try to accomplish with 3 different systems, tiering within backup and archive, where we do this in one particular system. And the fact that we're an all flash system today, we're going to give you that performance, right? But it's also more than that. It's our technology. VAST is a company that came to fruition about 7.5 years ago and was built on new technologies that are available today, not based on old spinning disk technologies of the past. So we can write newer algorithms and newer software to be clever about how we write data to the system, be very smart about where we put it in the system in a very clean, organized format, so that when Commvault wants to recover from our system, its access is instantaneous, as opposed to having to rebuild and reconstitute and go through garbage collection and all of these terms and processes of the past. You can't do what VAST does today, you cannot do on a spinning disk system. And it's just a technology, evolution that's been necessary in the data protection world for quite some time. So we're not competing with those types of products because we're different than them. We are the next generation standalone solution for the cyber requirements of recovery today.
And if I can add to that, George, I touched on it slightly earlier. So when you think about recovery from a software perspective from Commvault, when you have to search the data, right? When you have to start looking at where's my good clean copy, right? If I can automate those processes, those features, with a click of a button, Commvault will start to automate that process of finding a clean copy, doing what we need to do within VAST system to go then recover that data, and then coupled with the speed of VAST data, that's what makes this super unique to
Great,
all of our
thank you.
customers.
So you guys mentioned the partnership announcement on June 21st, and so we've got a roadmap question here from the audience. They're wondering, what can we expect to see from this relationship in the near future?
Chad, I'll go first, and please, you could follow up.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's going to be the ongoing integration. I mentioned we're working cohesively in each other's labs to design a perfect solution end to end, right? And by the way, that work's never done, right? That work is never done. And what we already can deliver today, and by the way, you're going to hear that from Expedient in just a few minutes. What we can already deliver today is extremely robust, but we want to take that to the next level, right? And we want to take that to make the ease of use of a restore, especially around a cyber event, to again be different or more advanced than what's available today. So again, I think the roadmap part of it is important, but also again for our channel partners and our customers in the field, I want them to have we want them to have a level of confidence, right? That this is again a partnership for the future, right? This is an ongoing partnership built on both organizations wanting to make sure that we deliver something that satisfies both of our customers, right? So it really is a joint better together beyond just the marketing and the marketecture. It's really about design and integration and advancements for today's world.
Yeah, George, not a whole lot to add to that. I mean, you already hit on our work in the labs, and we'll continue to tighten up those integrations. I think you'll see us listen to customers about what they want from the joint solution, and we'll probably build some of those features out as they come to life in real time. You mentioned the partners. You know, in the future, you're going to see our teams coming together within the partner community, doing joint enablement hand in hand. You'll see our field teams come together. So we really want to not just have a technical integration, but we do want to have a true, real partnership in the field and have our channel partners leading the way, helping us drive this
You know,
solution
in
out.
a last question here, so we've got a question from the audience about how often do you recommend testing backup and restore? And I'll just add to that. I assume from the performance of the solution that you're talking about that it can help organizations test with more speed and more more confidence as far as how frequently they do those tests. You mentioned that Forrester quote about people needing to not testing like their entire systems. Is that something you anticipate with your customers that they'll do more testing, and how often do you recommend it?
Chad, you want to go first?
Sure. So, I'll tell you, when we're talking to customers, when our sales teams are talking to customers, our executives are talking to customers, one of the first questions in a campaign is how often do you test your DR strategy? How often do you test your ability to recover, from some type of an event, whether it's ransomware or something else? And I got to tell you, I mean, I don't want to put percentages out there, but more times than not, customers will tell you they don't very often test a full blown attack. But I think with the rise of ransomware, that's changing. So from a Commvault perspective, you know, what we'll tell customers is they should be probably testing this on a quarterly or monthly basis, just to make sure that their recoverability features can do what they need to do in the event of
Scott, that
emergency.
is such an intuitive question from the audience, and I'll tell you why. Because whoever asked that question knows it's almost impossible to test some of these recoveries because of the platforms that they have today are so busy, so overtaxed, unable to do test dev. And then the fact of the matter is, we've made that easy for them. We've given them that capability and the ability to do that. And really, quite frankly, in a very small format and a small partition potentially of that environment, and gives them the ability to do that. It can be on an everyday basis for different environments. They can do a rotating schedule now that they wouldn't do before. If you went to a customer that can only recover a few terabytes an hour and said, hey, I got to shut down operations to go through a test dev scenario of a 50 terabyte database, they're like, wait, I have other things to do to run the environment, right? And I don't have time for that. Well, you need to make time for that. This needs the most resilient part of your environment. So the fact that we can do that so readily today, so again, so separate and different from what you've had in legacy systems. Yeah, that capability is there. And it's kind of like one of those underlying benefits that maybe we don't all necessarily talk about after the fact is, yeah, you get all those capabilities, but now you can do things like, think about that, just test dev now in a regular daily basis.